My sibling has manipulated me with guilt my whole life. I finally said no, and now everything is falling apart. AITA for saying no? Hi Reddit. I'm using a throwaway because some of my friends know my main. I, 28F, have a sibling, Jenna, 32F, who has always had a way of getting what she wants, but not in the typical pushy, obvious way. Jenna's power lies in guilt and emotional manipulation. Ever since we were kids, she's made herself the poor, misunderstood victim in every scenario. And I somehow always ended up bending over backward to make things right, even when I didn't do anything wrong. Some examples: in high school, she failed a math class and convinced my parents it was because I wouldn't help her study, even though I did, and she just never showed up. I got grounded for not being supportive when she didn't get into her first choice university. She told everyone it was because I stole the spotlight with my own acceptance letter. We applied to completely different schools, by the way. At her wedding, she gave me 2 days' notice to write a speech because her original maid of honor dropped out. When I said I was nervous and unprepared, she cried and told me I was ruining her big day. This dynamic followed us into adulthood. Jenna still calls me in crises that are always somehow my fault. If I say no to anything, she says I'm being selfish, cold, or not like how we were raised. The guilt is relentless. I've helped her move house 3 times, covered her rent once, never paid back, and even called in sick to my job to babysit her kids when she had a last-minute date night. I recently started therapy, and my therapist gently suggested that I might be in an emotionally manipulative dynamic. That word hit me hard. Manipulation. I'd always thought Jenna was just sensitive, misunderstood. But the more I unpacked things, the clearer it became. Last weekend was the tipping point. Jenna called me at 10 p.m. on a Saturday, crying that she and her husband were fighting and she just needed to get away. She asked if I could drive 2 hours to pick her up and let her stay with me. I was already in bed, recovering from a flu, and I told her kindly that I wasn't feeling well and couldn't make the drive. She went silent, then said, "Wow, after everything I've done for you." I asked what she meant, and she started listing sacrifices she's made, like giving me her old clothes as a teen and always defending me, which is untrue. I told her, gently but firmly, that I wasn't going to keep justifying myself anymore. I said I love her, but I won't let her guilt me into things anymore. She hung up on me. Since then, my parents have called to say Jenna's staying with them and is devastated by how I treated her. They want me to just be the bigger person. I'm exhausted. For the first time in my life, I said no. And now I'm the villain? I don't know if I'm making the right choice. Reddit, am I in the wrong for finally setting boundaries? First update. Hi again, everyone. I didn't expect my post to blow up like it did, and I want to thank all of you for the kind, validating comments and thoughtful advice. Reading that I wasn't alone and that others recognized the manipulation for what it was, made me cry in a good way. Truly, thank you. A few things have happened since my last post. First, I wrote a letter to my parents. Not an angry rant, but a carefully worded message explaining how Jenna's behavior has affected me over the years. I emphasized that I love her and them, But I can't keep enabling the dynamic that's been draining me emotionally and financially. To my surprise, my dad called me after reading it and said he'd never looked at it that way before. He admitted that growing up, Jenna's emotions always felt more urgent, so they probably gave her more attention without realizing how that sidelined me. He apologized for making me feel like the peacekeeper all the time. That meant a lot. Unfortunately, my mom wasn't as understanding. She thinks families should always help each other, and that Jenna's just going through a hard time. When I said that Jenna's always going through a hard time when she needs something, Mom went quiet. Then accused me of picking a fight. As for Jenna, we haven't spoken directly, but she posted a long, vague Facebook status about being hurt by people who pretend to care but leave you when you're at your lowest. Several extended family members reached out to ask what happened. I didn't respond to any of them. I don't want to get into a social media mudslinging contest. Therapy has been helping. My therapist says I'm in the disenmeshment stage, which apparently means learning where I end and Jenna begins. It's messy, painful, and weirdly liberating. I miss her, but I don't miss the guilt. That tells me something. Final update. Hi Reddit. It's been a while. I thought I'd leave one last update, since so many of you asked how things would evolve, and they did, more than I ever expected. First, Jenna and I finally spoke. Not over text, not through other people, a real conversation, face to face. She asked to meet for coffee. I was nervous but curious. When we met, she started by saying she didn't understand why I hated her. I took a deep breath and told her I don't hate her, but I hate the way I feel around her. Like I'm walking on eggshells. Like I have to earn her love by sacrificing myself. At first, she got defensive. Said I was rewriting history. But instead of falling into the old pattern, I stayed calm. I said, "You don't have to agree with me. But this is my truth, and it's valid." She cried. Then, shockingly, she apologized. She said she didn't realize how much she relied on me emotionally. And that maybe she was too hard on me. She didn't say it in a performative way, she seemed genuinely shaken. We're not suddenly best friends. There's still distance. But for the first time, I feel like there's a foundation for an honest relationship, not one built on guilt. My parents are still mixed. My mom's softened a bit, but she still wishes I'd let things go. My dad's been more supportive. I've also set clearer boundaries. I won't be an on-call babysitter, a last-minute chauffeur, or a therapist. I've started saying no, and I've survived the fallout. And you know what? I feel lighter. I've been sleeping better, laughing more, spending time on things I enjoy, without wondering if Jenna needs something. Breaking free from guilt feels like learning how to breathe again. To anyone reading this who's stuck in a similar place, you're not selfish for protecting your peace. You're not cruel for saying no. And you're not alone. Thanks again, Reddit. You helped me find my voice.